Let's talk Browns. Man. All right. So here we are in year two, which is about to end with the Mike Pettin era, which of course also is linked into the Johnny Manziel era. And it looks like he's actually going to pan out. Johnny Manziel. I don't know about Mike Pettin, but I do know based on how he's played this year and the starts that he was given, especially against Seattle, which is supposed to have that doomsday defense, which I don't think they have it this year. I think they fell off. But anyway, he played pretty well. He had 6 drop passes because the receiving core sucks, but that's the GM's fault. They didn't really well. They tried to run the ball. It was nice to see them actually running the ball in the second half, which, as we know, the Browns don't do that. Well, they didn't do it this year, but I think now that they're starting to realize that you just can't throw the ball and expect to win. You have to mix it up a little bit, which is fine. Um, the defense, the defense. What can I say about that defense? That defense is horrible. It sucks. The worst defense in the league. I can get 11 guys off the street who can go out there and play better defense than the Browns did. All right, especially in the secondary. Oh, good lord! But the good news is that we finally have a quarterback. I mean, I can sit up here and say fire Mike Patton, fire the GM, talk about how bad this player is, that player is. I can sit up here. I can do that till I don't know why I put that anyway. I just needed something to grab onto. I could sit there and talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but I really just want to talk about the progression of Johnny Manziel because I've gotten into so many arguments concerning him. All right. Um, when I saw, because, all right, let me back it up. When I first heard about Johnny Manziel, it was back when he was the first year that he played, the year that he won the Heisman. And I heard how, he was such a showboat and all of this stuff and everything. And of course, excuse me, it's like 10:44. Brother had a long day. So anyway, of course, the hype didn't happen for him until he beat Alabama, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" Like this kid from Texas A&M, he's doing all of these gyrations and whatnot, and he ran this no huddle offense, and they beat Alabama. I'm like, okay, and then he won the Heisman off the strength of that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll check him out next year. So then next year came, and I watched the first game. I watched him play against again Alabama. It was a game that they lost, but it was also a game where I saw him take a 21-6 lead in the like the first quarter and a half or something like that because Alabama had no answers for him. And then he started getting goofy and they started throwing interceptions. And of course, there was the patented, throw it up for grabs and Mike Evans jumps up and catch it plays. And then they were down by like almost 28 points. And then he came back and they lost the game, I think, by 7 or 9, something like that. Either way, there was a 98-yard touchdown pass in there to a guy who had no business beating anybody in a foot race for 98 yards for a touchdown. It was just ridiculous. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's who Johnny Manziel is. All right, I like how he plays. And then there was the game, I think it was the Cotton Bowl against Duke, in which his defense looked like the Browns' defense. They just could not play. They could not stop Duke. But you saw him like fight back because they were getting killed in the first half. But he fought back it right before the half, and he cut the lead, I think, down to 10. And then they came out in the second half, and he did this famous speech where he was like, "Give me the ball, just give me the ball, just give me the ball," talking to his defensive players. And they started making plays. They started stopping Duke and having turnovers. And he fought back and made like a couple of miraculous touchdown plays and whatnot, and they won the game. And I said right then and there, I said that kid right there is a playmaker. Like he is perfect for the Browns because that's what the Browns need. They need a playmaker at quarterback. Because we already had Josh Gordon. We knew what Josh Gordon could do. We had Jordan Cameron. I didn't think the Browns would let him go, but Gary Barnidge, surprise, surprise. But and so here we were. Like we knew we needed a running back. Those things would come. But we definitely needed a quarterback that could make plays, be it in or out of the pocket. Somebody that didn't give up. Somebody that had a warrior's heart. So I'm like, okay, if the Browns draft Manziel, they'll be in prime position. All they have to do now is surround him with the talent. So they drafted Manziel, and I had relatives and friends and whatnot. They were like, "Oh man, not that bum. Like he's no good. Blase, blase, boo hoo. Too short. Can't throw. Blah 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 blah." So, of course, the first year he had to, he wasn't trying to pay attention to anything. He had the substance abuse problems. He's fixed all of that in the off season. Of course, he's a 22-year-old guy, 23. He's going to do 22, 23-year-old guy stuff. All right. Should he have been suspended for the incident with the girlfriend? Yes, he should have. At least two to 4 games. I mean, it didn't matter because if he would have served the suspension, by the time he would have gotten off, it'd have been time to him to play against San Francisco anyway, if not Cincinnati, either the second time. So it would have mattered. It just would have happened. Um, so here we are. We're watching him grow as he plays game after game after game that he started this year. We've seen him mature. We've seen him take strides right then and there on the field. We see that he's learning. He's actually in his playbook. He's actually in the film room. He's actually studying. He's actually applying what he's seeing out there on the field. He's making the plays, even the stuff that's not out there. He's doing his type of football. He's playing his brand of football. Of course, everybody says, well, sorry. Sorry. Everybody's saying, well, you know, he can't play that type of football here in the NFL. He would get hurt. He lost a boo-hoo, that stuff. I know I keep saying that. Sorry. But man, it's just so that's what I hear. All I hear is rhetoric when I hear that because it's like, do you not understand that the NFL no longer allows you to hit a quarterback in the head or down around the knees? And you've seen him run. He actually does get down. He slides. It's not like he's trying to take people on like he's Derek Carr or Blake Bortles. All right, he knows his limitations. He'll run. He'll pull a Russell Wilson fantastically, and that was the thing that Mike Pettin was. They were comparing Johnny Manziel to Russell Wilson, and if you ask me, they're the same type of player. I would say that Russell Wilson is a lot more headsier simply because of his game experience. Plus, he's a very intelligent person. Not saying that Johnny's stupid. I mean, you can't be dumb and play quarterback in this league. Just look at Jeff George. It doesn't work. It doesn't last. You have, a matter of fact, look at his rookie year when he was acting stupid. It wasn't working out. But now that he's actually applying his intelligence, all right, his football IQ was growing. Russell Wilson, his football IQ was already there where it needed to be for that Seattle team. That's why he started as a rookie. That's why they went 7-9 because they went off the strength of his knowledge. Of course, it was a learning process, just like it is for Johnny. But if you notice, they have the same game. They don't run after they just take one read. They run to try to make something happen. They'll scramble first, look downfield, and if nothing's there, if they can't get any yards, they'll throw it away. And if they can get the yards, they'll slide down. Ooh. Screensaver kicked on. Um, so they're pretty much the same players in that aspect as far as in their style of play. I would say that Johnny just uses his athleticism more in a quirky way. All right, with the gyrations and the I'll put it like this: if you were to compare them to basketball players, all right, I would say that Johnny Manziel plays like Magic Johnson with the no look passes and everything. All right, whereas Russell Wilson is more like Michael Jordan. It's like, wow, how did he do that? How did he get out of that? He should have been tackled right then and there. How did he get out? How did he make that play? Whereas Johnny is the same thing. Like, how did he make that play? But wow, look how he did it. He did it with a crazy flair. You know, he has a like he's a maverick. So can you build? Can can you build with a Johnny Manziel? Is he the quarterback of the future? If you watching the Monday Night Football game, if you ask me, the answer is yes. Um, all you need now with him is a power back like Ezekiel Elliott and about three more wide receivers that are over 6 feet tall. All right, because there's no telling if Travis Benjamin is coming back. And if he is, you still need the tall receivers because you with hands because you saw Taylor Gabriel and whatnot drop passes and maybe Terrell Pryor will work out if you actually make a commitment to him and just work with him in the off season. Like from now until the off season, you have to work with Terrell Pryor. If you can get Terrell Pryor up to where he can at least be the third receiver you can put him in the slot. That's a mismatch. That big body with all of that speed and that height, that's a mismatch. And then you have Travis Benjamin on the outside with Gordon, or if he actually pans out and you can get him to the outside and put Travis Benjamin in the slot, it's still a mismatch. But I mean, that's just wishful thinking. You also have to bolster your offensive line because Cam Irving, oh goodness gracious, man, ooh. somebody call Barry Bonds and tell him Cam Irving needs to talk to him. uh, anyway, we'll see what happens. We've got two more games. Um, they'll be exciting, that's for sure. But I don't expect the Browns to win them. And of course, I'll be back here. Excuse me, singing the praises of Johnny Manziel again. So we'll see. You all have a good night.